hear me without amplification or no? Yeah? Okay. Because I really don't like to amplify myself. It's not my thing. And before I get into the slides, I just want to say something. As Andrew said, thank you. I'm Dave Alderman. I'm the CEO of Molecule Consulting. And I'm here today to not sell you on AI in biopharma CI. Okay? Let me reiterate. I'm not here to sell you on AI. I'm not saying AI is not good. I'm not saying AI is not an enablement tool, but it is not the panacea. It is not the end-all be-all. And this talk will explain why that is, based on hallucinations, based on the current state of the data which we have that is predicating the algorithms and that we're using to train and ultimately to produce. Now, let's get into this. So, there's lots of data out there. And AI, as we know it publicly, be it OpenAI, be it DeepMind, be it Anthropic, others, tons of companies vying for the same thing in a multi-billion-dollar investment. They want to be able to create what's called agentic intelligence, AGI, or a number of other things down the road. Now, currently, we have something called generative AI that publicly is based on LLMs, or large language models. This is based on the ingestion of basically all of history, anything that is available, written, transcribed, etc. And it recognizes patterns based on codes that are written to the best of our data engineers and AI prompters' capabilities. That being said, why do you sometimes come up with an answer that reads AI? I joke. The EM dash. Are you familiar with the EM dash? Anyone raise a hand? You know the thing, the long thing that's in all the ChatGPT responses? Irrespective of you telling it, no EM dash. Just put it in memory. Put it in my personality settings. You get the EM dash, irrespective. Because AI is not having the fidelity that we need to do the type of work that we're doing. In our roles, in competitive intelligence, strategy, BD&L, etc., we need to produce high fidelity, high credibility, and impactful, action-packed deliverables for our internal stakeholders. Now, depending on what company you work for, whether you're a vendor, whether you're in-house or some combination in between, irrespective of who you're bringing that data to, if it's a deliverable, you have a client. Whether that client is the CEO or the board or the brand manager, they're not asking for this just as a checkbox exercise. They want the intelligence to make some kind of decision that ultimately is going to result in ROI or negative ROI. We don't want negative ROI, we don't want zero ROI, we want positive ROI, and decisively so. And to get that requires, again, accurate, actionable, timely. Okay? So let's take a case study. I'm totally going off script with my slides. I do have a 30-slide deck here that we can refer to at some point. But the point is, we need to go over why this matters. Case study. And I used this in my masterclass yesterday, so apologies for those who have already heard this one. We got a call from our client, who is the head of US BD&L for a major multinational pharma company. Client is up in arms. She was called out by the head of global M&A that how on earth did you miss this particular transaction? Okay? We've been watching the landscape, we've been watching as the vendor to this company, understanding what all the moves would be made and who could do what and when and where and why and how. And this particular company, a small cap Korea-based biotech that is on the Kospi, was a high interest to our client. It was on their short list of call it 5 to 10 assets that they're going to probably go into non-LOI based diligence, get into the data room. But allegedly, it was acquired or whatnot. No press releases anywhere. We searched, we did everything we could. Trial trove, alpha sense, fact set, anything public, anything proprietary. No reference to this whatsoever. So I go back to her and I said, we can't find this. There's no public reference or record, no PR, no analyst report, no nothing. And there has to be some record of this somewhere. So she's like, I don't know what to say. So We asked her to send, blind off all the contact details of everyone else, send the content of the email with the relevant sections to us so we can kind of forensically attack it and understand what's going on, because clearly there's a disconnect. We did that. And again, telltale signs of AI writing. One word stood out to me, and I, again, use this example a lot, gambit, G-A-M-B-I-T. It's not a normally used word in human lexicon, conversationally or written. It is an elegant word, but the gambit made by company X to acquire company Y was well-founded, was the title of the email. We looked into it further and saw more hallmark signs of AI. But even the reference that was provided, error 404, it didn't exist. It was a hallucination. This individual, the head of M&A for a top 10 multinational pharma company, went out, did his own diligencing using ChatGPT. The latest model at the time was 4.0 or 01 Pro, so he had the Pro subscription, did deep research, and came back with a completely falsified, hallucinated, and erroneous, incredulous situation that created a massive fire drill. That is one negative usage case for pharma, CI, and AI. Now, I'm not saying there are no good use cases, there are plenty. But if you're gonna make informed decisions, start getting fired up over the fact that AI is telling me something, no, you have to invest in the human element to review, pressure test, QA, QC. Okay? Now, let's take another example where AI is helpful. We work a lot with companies who want the secondary alerting. They want a rapid response, basically push it as it comes with implications, details, etc. AI is neither here nor there with respect to developing the appropriate implications and the contextualization of what it means vis-a-vis your company. Whether it be Novartis, whether it be another company, it doesn't matter, it doesn't know. Even if trained with the parameters that you want it to be, with the proprietary system and data lake, it's not gonna do it. It doesn't have that human element, it is not interacting with a real environment, and it doesn't understand the emotion and what goes into these decisions. Nonetheless, AI does a great job at rapidly pulling numbers together, summarizing, and coming up with probably an 80 to 90% accurate basic alert. Still requiring your human analysts on the vendor side or internally if you have a global business support team to do extra work, while at the same time concurrently checking everything to make sure that every number is intact. So, I pause for a second, and I'm gonna go to human intelligence now. Primary CI, which is, for those of you on the MR side, you might not be aware, primary CI is non-transactional. You do not pay an honorarium, you do not give an inducement or anything. At the same time, you have to accurately represent yourself as being from a company, molecule, okay? You cannot say who your client is by name because of an NDA, but you can say it's a multinational pharma company, it's a biotech, it's an investment bank, what have you. And at the same time, you don't represent who they are. It has to be a blinded source. Director of corporate strategy at company X, whatnot. Now, that's an example where HUMINT comes in that's public that I can talk about openly. When we or any of our peer agencies go out and do human intelligence, you have to be very restricted and you have to be firewalled appropriately, not taking on conflicts of interest. Because, the opportunity does exist there. Let's use the example of obesity to represent Novo and Pfizer and Metsera and this one and that one at the same time. But that's not good, because when we're doing this, you need to be silent, compartmented, and firewalled that you have no cross-communication or leakiness. You're learning things that are non-public, that are potentially sensitive commercial information, and don't always get reported as is. Sometimes you have to kind of like break up the quotes and paraphrase and such, or aggregate and anonymize in order to get the message across, because only an N of one might know something, or a small group, and we don't want to identify them by proxy and by accident. So human intelligence is critically important to our line of business. It helps influence our clients and their stakeholders' strategy. It helps influence their ability to go to market, to prioritize and deprioritize pipelines, lifecycle management initiatives, etc. AI cannot do that. Do you expect that you can go to your AI system, type in a query, and understand what the German field force dynamics are for company X with respect to field medical, commercial access? No. If we're public and published, you wouldn't be hiring us to do that. This requires highly targeted, precise primary intelligence that you do ethically and compliantly and report back to your client. Now, you can probably get some idea of a benchmark, what's out there publicly, but again, it's not going to be to a plus or minus 5% rounding error. You're going to be looking at massive differences. For example, in the US rare disease market, if you look at a company like Genentech, they have hundreds of rare disease sales specialists across multiple indications. Whereas a company such as BioMarin, also a rare disease expert, takes a different approach. They're not taking this high-touch sales approach. It's more of an advocacy and patient support approach and HCP engagement model via peer-to-peer. So they have about 45 to 50 reps. So if we went with that credible benchmark that our industry report's saying, you're going to be way off in one of those situations. And again, if you're trying to scale up a US field team in rare disease, you want to know what good looks like so you make the right size investment, and you're not coming either overweight and alienating the doctors with too many touch points because you have a long sales cycle, or you're rarely seeing them and you fall by the wayside. Now, again, I have a lot of slides here. I encourage everyone to look at them in the post-conference download that you're going to get. If anyone wants the slides, I can flip through them real quick. They're pretty cool about landscaping and all the different things, how we do it. Just please feel free to ask me. They'll also be on, I posted it to LinkedIn concurrent to this, so you can just download them there. But I'd rather open this up to a discussion in the remaining time and see if anyone has any questions, comments, or feedback. Love to hear some perspectives and opinions.